All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Olabintan. I am the CEO and the co-founder of Livingspring Family Medical Center, where we help our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. If you're watching live, hashtag live, and if you're watching on replay, hashtag replay. I'm glad I got that out of the way. Now, that being said, we're having a conversation today with one of my friends, my colleague, and the awesome Dr. Weili Gray. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Tolu. It's an honor to talk to you every single time.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And today we're talking about dreams. So, Doc, you talk about dreams so much. How do I start towards my dream? That's the question that we're going to be discussing today. And I'm going to have my guest introduce herself. Please, Doc, who are you and what do you do?
Yes. So I am Dr. Weili Gray. I live in rural Vermont, like right near the Canadian border. And as we talk, there's like probably 7 feet of snow that's out there. We're like in the middle of this crazy snowstorm. And I practice as a sleep physician here. In my other time, I'm also a wife, a mom to 3 kids, and I have my passion, which is Dare to Dream Physician, where I do podcasts weekly. And the current episode is actually with Dr. Tolu, just the most incredible conversation ever. And then in the Dare to Dream Physician, I help physicians figure out what they really want out of their life and how to live their life to the fullest through travel.
Wow. Wow. I love what you do, Doc. And I'm going to give her a little bit more of a shout out. She's also a lifestyle medicine physician. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till I was reading your bio. I was like, she downplays that. And you're also an integrative physician. Like you're a woman of many hats. So I wanted to highlight that and then what you do to help people, especially physicians, live their best lives, or the life they dream about is very, very sometimes that seems very elusive in the grind of the day to day as a physician. Now, if you're not a physician, don't tune out. Okay, these things also can apply to you, so don't tune out. Of course, the certain things unique to being a physician, but I believe these tips will also help you too. So don't tune out. I want to highlight that. All right, now, Doc, why do you do what you do? Now, I know that you do, the sleep medicine, the integrative medicine, and the lifestyle medicine. But why did you add this on as a life planner? Like, what's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's the story of many physicians where you think you've worked so hard to get to your dreams, and you start. In my case, I thought I was in my dream job, and then actually this was around the time of COVID. Changes started happening at my institution where I was employed, and I started feeling really, really discouraged. I felt like all of a sudden um, I had no control of my life or like my autonomy in my work. And this is definitely not specific to physicians, but I think as human beings, we need to live a life of integrity where, what we're doing every day, like we feel aligned with, and then also just having a good life outside of work. And I think they're both important because I felt like I didn't have control over my work anymore, and it was very, very discouraging, and it spilled into my personal life too because I just didn't feel aligned. And anyway, that's what prompted that's what prompted me to start on a journey to figure out, well, what is it that I want in my life? At that time I was just turning 40 years old. And it was, in a way, you could think of it as like a midlife crisis because I'm like, I'm not going to put up with this. So, yeah, that's how I started to really make room to just think about and not even think, but feel like, what is it that I really want? And Dr. Tolley, you're so right. Like, this is for everybody. This is not just for physicians. And and then start discovering that. So the funny thing is I still work at the same exact job, but I am so much happier. And I just started to speak up and started to voice things that concern me. And yeah, so that here I am much happier and living my dream at the same job.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that you say that you're happier. You're still in the same job, but you learn to ask for the things you want. You reprioritize. You learn to say, you know what, I got to stop. This is not working. And that prompted you to start this. And I'm in the trend where a lot of guests I have on, they start something because of their own personal pain points. And so they're able to connect to many other people's pain points and help through. So I'll come up with solutions to help them through that pain point. I said pain point a lot, but you got what I'm saying. This is good. This is good. This is good. All right. So my next question is this. For someone who's watching this, who's like, yeah, sure. Why should one dream? You know, and I'm asking that question because sometimes it seems, well, is there any point? I feel like some people say you're setting yourself for disappointment, you're setting yourself for failure. Like, what would you say to that?
Yeah, this is such a good question because it's not something that we were raised to do necessarily. Children are naturally good dreamers, but as we get older, like even later in childhood, there are just so many things like society, just social influences that sort of stop that. And so the reason why we should dream, it's very simple. We are human beings, and human beings naturally have these innate desires and this purpose and this motivation for life. And even though like every day, most of us, I would think, and this is certainly me too, I sort of go through my day assuming that I'm going to live forever, like that I'm going to be in this same health that I am, which is right now pretty healthy. Like tomorrow I'm going to have tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and the day and after tomorrow, and tomorrow. And we know, like, intellectually that's not really true, right? Because we know that we're mortal, but we don't go through life sort of feeling that necessarily until maybe we get some kind of wake up call. And, that could be seeing a loved one go through an accident or like a severe illness or even death. Or like in my case, actually towards the end of my medical training, when I was sort of living a very burnt out life then too, we had a house fire where we lost everything. And so even though the whole family at that time, like we were okay, like not, we didn't lose a single piece of hair through this event, but it was very clear to me that we could have all died, or one of us could have died there. And that was a wake-up call too, to really just connect with, what I'm here, like this is a gift to be alive, and let's make the most of that.
Wow. People assume that they live forever. Yeah, people assume they inadvertently assume they live forever based on how we live. So we need to make conscious efforts to plan and dream and take those dreams seriously. Now I have my next question is this. I call them the hiccups. So hiccups, like like, oh, I don't think this is gonna work, and here's my rebuttal. So the first rebuttal is like, well, to the dreaming aspect, it's silly. Like, what, you want to sit there and just like it's silly, doc. I want to sit down there and start going into my happy place. Like what like, it's silly, doc. What would you respond to that?
Yeah, be silly, right? I mean, being silly and light, and that's exactly why we need to make time for it, because we have to tap into our inner 4-year-old and be silly and imagine. I mean, it's such a good exercise, because the other thing is, on the other end of that, if you talk to most people who have taken the time to dream and then act on it, they will say, well, my dream came true. I mean, it's amazing. It's like a full circle moment, but hey, my dream came true. I mean, Dr. Tolu is a perfect example of that. I mean, listen to the interview on my podcast where I get to talk to her for 45 minutes. I mean, her dream came true. She dreamed and it came true.
Yeah. And what does it hurt? You escape reality a little bit, and you feel light. What does it hurt? So thank you. Be silly, be light. Now, next, hiccup, and I said this earlier. I'm setting myself up for disappointment. Like, what if I dream and you know doesn't come true? Like, what's the point? What would you say to that, Doc?
Yeah, such a good question. And so that's exactly why most adults don't dream, right? Because they're like the pain of knowing that I want something and then not being able to have it is maybe worse than not knowing what I want to begin with. I mean, that's a very rational type of response. And it's true. It's so Dare to Dream position is not just, and that's why my tagline is, it's like helping people discover what they want. So
Mm,
that's like, part one, but
mm,
then to go and get it, right? To start living that. So yes, it's true. Just dreaming is just the beginning. There's many other steps after that, but if you don't dream, then you didn't take the first step, and whatever other steps you take, because that's the thing is we oftentimes, like, we are hard workers, right? Physicians and many people, I mean, our society, American society, is full of hard workers. So you're going to be going towards something, but what is that something, right? It's like maybe you're on this treadmill of just, like following the next carrot or the next nugget, and it's
mm.
not, it's the treadmill that maybe your employer set for you, but it's not really the dream that you have for yourself. So that's the other thing is you may be setting up yourself for disappointment more if you don't dream, because you're probably following someone else's expectations. And then at the end of your life, imagine you're like, 80 or 90 years old. And at that point, you may still be alive, but you're not in the energy and the health that you're in now. What are the regrets that you're going to have? I mean, that's why we start to dream and start acting on that.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that you said this. The first step is the dream. What do you want? And that's the question the dream answers. What do you want? If you didn't have to worry about money, everything would just line up. What would that mean to you physically, financially, emotionally, relationally, right? What does that mean to you? And then starting there and then working from there. We're not saying just sit here, don't do anything and just, you know, but start there and then work with someone, a coach, a life planner, somebody to help you realize those dreams. But the whole point of this conversation is to dream. And I like your company's name, Dare to Dream. Now the dare makes it sound like it's like hard, but it's too simple. It's so simple that it's easy not to do. And so there's the dare here. It's simple, but go ahead. I dare you to start. Um, thank you, Doc. Now my next question to you is this, and this is one that I get quite a bit in conversations where patients or clients would talk back to me. Well, Doc, I'm happy for you. You're a doctor. You got doctor money. I can't do this. So I'm not rich. That's the rebuttal. I'm not rich, Doc. I don't think I dream. What would you say to that?
Yeah. This is it's a very good excuse, right, for not dreaming and living your dreams is
I love it.
and the funny thing is, if you're not a doctor, you might be looking at a doctor and say, oh, but I can't, you can do this, but I can't because I'm not a doctor and I'm not rich. But I mean, the reality is most doctors, if you talk to them, especially earlier or late
Mhm,
career
mhm.
doctors, will say, I can't do this because I'm not rich, or you think I'm rich because maybe my paycheck is supposed to be large, but I have all these other expenses. Um, and that's where it comes down to. When you dream and discover what is it that you really want, you can start prioritizing. And so it's all about priorities. And this goes back to what I was saying in if you are not no if you don't know your dreams, then you're probably living someone else's dream or someone else's expectations. And here's an example of that. You might think that your goal is to get an expensive nice car, where if your true goal, when you actually took the time to figure it out, is actually to go on this like dream vacation, this amazing trip. I mean, what you could do if you have this same amount of money is to not pay those monthly payments on that nice car, and to get a certified used car, where, well, right now is not the best time to get that certified used car, I know, with the market, but you get the idea. There are, anybody has the ability to sort of shift the buckets of how they spend their resources. And money is just one resource, by the way. If you talk to doctors, there are other resources where they feel like it's very poor. You know, they feel like they don't have time, right? I mean, each of us have 4 resources. This is what we talk about in life planning. You know, we have the money, which is the most obvious one because you can like measure that in the bank account. But then there's also time, right? So someone who's 20 years old theoretically probably has a lot more time, either free time or just time left in their life than someone who's, you know, maybe 75. And so that's a resource too. And then energy, right? So like, do you have the energy to do this? Do you, you know, what's your health like? You know, where are you in your life? And then talent. Talent is the last resource because it's like if you dream, let's say if you're like the most amazing musician, but you know, you're working in a job that's totally unrelated to music. And you feel like there's something inside of you that needs to come out. You know, that's another example. But it's all of our resources that we want to prioritize.
Wow. Wow. A lot of nuggets you shared here. You talked about different resources. The time one, I gotta say, is one I covet. Time, and of course, money too, and energy and talent. So there are different resources that we have at our fingertips. And I love how you essentially said that, you know, having a dream help you put your priorities in place. It helps you. It helps you with that, and that's why it's important too. Otherwise, you're just allowing life to happen to you. Okay, what's on today? Well, someone presents this. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. And so you're treadmilling, like you said before. And so I'm trusting that for those who are watching this, that you're picking these nuggets as simple as they sound, and starting to reflect. Okay, am I doing the things in line with what's important to me, or what's in line with my dream, or what I see for myself 5, 10, 20 years from now, or when I'm older and I look back and say, oh, I'm glad I did this, and not having regret. So I'm hoping that you take the challenge to dare to dream, because this is very good. Next hiccup I have, and we talked about this a little bit, is it's unrealistic. So I have someone who says, well, I had a dream once. I thought I would end up with this person. I thought it didn't work out. So I'm like, you know what? The hurt of that was just too much. It's unrealistic. I'm done. Any nuggets for someone who's like that, who's listening?
Yeah. It's a good, also a very valid, you know, response that people have. And what I would say is, you know, you get to decide, you know, what you want your life to be like. I've decided that I want my life to be unrealistic, and I want my life to be magical, and I want it to be full of wonder. And you know, like I want to live like with the magic that 4-year-olds see the world. And so that's how I approach my life. You know, I might come up with these crazy ideas. My husband knows, like I always come up with these crazy ideas. Like one crazy idea I had was, I told my husband when we were getting married, I'm like, I want a hot air balloon at my wedding. And at this time, like we didn't have any money because I was a med student. And and he's like, okay, I mean, he didn't come up with that idea, but he went with it. And we had a hot air balloon. Everyone who came to my wedding got to got a ride on that hot air balloon if they wanted to. And so it's like, you know, embrace it. If you want a life that's unrealistic, then go for a life that's unrealistic, because if what's holding you back is that, you know, it's that dreaming is unrealistic, then you will live a life where there are no dreams and where it's sort of realistic according to the world. But you could also do the opposite.
Dream again. That's a challenge. Dream again. And I love that. I want to live a life that's unrealistic. I want to live a life that's glorious. I want to live a life that's that allows me to dream and dream again and dream again. And this is not to downplay something that may have happened to you, something tragic, but you know, we don't get to spend this currency of time or life again on this side of eternity. We don't get to. So don't waste it. Don't waste it. I'm this has been so enlightening for me, and I've put it down here. Hot air balloon. I'm like, look at it, hot air balloon. I want to do that. I wish I had known you then, but it's okay. I'd have come. I'm like, we. But I'm going to put that on my to-do list sometime. I'm going to dream, and the idea of it too is beautiful. So thank you so much for coming. So many nuggets have been dropped. I'm going to rewatch this. I also took notes as well, that I plan to apply to my life, even in the sea of discouragements, because life we dream again, and we work towards those dreams because they align with what's important to us, right? So, Doc, I have someone who's watching this, who's a doctor perhaps, and says, you know what? I want to work with her. Or I have someone who's like, even though I'm not a physician, I may not be her ideal client, but I want to watch what she's doing because what she's saying is powerful. I want her to come speak to people on my platform. Dr. Weili Gray, where can people find you?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So I'm actually I've had the Dare to Dream physician for about 2 years. And, as I evolve as a human being, I am also evolving Dare to Dream physician. So this, like, right now is actually this really exciting time because I am reimagining what I want to do through the Dare to Dream physician. I've done podcasting for almost 2 years now, and every week I put out an episode. So that's going to continue to happen. So you can all, follow us, go to a podcast app and subscribe to Dare to Dream Physician podcast. And yeah, I have friends who are non-physicians who also listen to it. So you'll love it no matter what. And then my website, daretodreamphysician.com. And what I am going to start doing there is, Dare to Dream Physician until now has been sort of, I would say, mostly like what we talked about, like, dream, or personal development, personal growth, a lot of what I talk about on the podcast. And so I felt like at this point, I wanted to add something to it, which is reflecting what I am doing in my life, which is traveling. Like I'm living my dreams through traveling. And no, I didn't quit my job. I'm still, working at the same job. Like I said before, I still live in rural Vermont. I still have 3 kids and a husband. So and what I wanted to do is to be one example of what's possible. Like even, I have to go through, I have to drive 2 hours to my nearest airport. And that's just like a small, and that's just like the small airport, like my, and so anyway, I am planning this amazing year where, we're going on these trips as a family, and I want to share that with the world and inspire the world. And at the same time, I want to help physicians, but I'll have articles so that anybody can read about them and see these tips and be inspired by them. Articles on just how people can start living their wildest travel dreams. So yeah, that's what to expect.
Awesome. And I have my virtual assistant has already put it there, where to find you, your website, your podcast, on Instagram, also on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Doc, we found you everywhere. And that has been shared already for people to watch and connect with you. But thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope to have you on again soon so we can continue these types of conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and I love what you're doing, Dr. Tolulope. You know that, and one of these days we have to go out and like eat this really amazing meal together. We're both foodies.
I concur. Love it, Vermont. I'll put that on my little list. They used to do at some point. All right. Thank you so much. And for those of you who have been watching and who will watch it in replay, please comment on what actually resonated with you a lot watching this live. I'm curious to see what you picked from this. And of course, we know that sharing is caring. So please share this with as many people as will be encouraged by this. Share this with your physician and non-physician friends as well. And if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a passionate family physician who also likes to dream and encourages her clients to dream, because that helps improve your quality and quantity of life, I am she. Have a good one. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.